I gotta make sure that was just one sheet.
Got it all of them today. I think they taught us what Maryland is here.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter.
Where is it like you can?
Yeah, it depends, depends on which way you go. You also do, sometimes you do with lights.
Hazard, we might see, might not be sprayed off. Just feels you can it's not slippery.
I gave you all the names of one.
Those are hazards.
Yes. They did a really nice, or qualifications afterwards.
Got to.
Yeah, and then they didn't do a couple of, restoration, like pure restoration. That was.
Gotta have it.
Carolyn, James, y'all ready?
We're ready.
Okay, Marilyn,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask Darrell Broussard to lead us in prayer, Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. All council. Dear Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for this day, Lord. Lord, we thank you for all the prosperity that Cleveland is seeing at this time, oh Father. We ask, oh Father, to continue to grow in your name, dear God, that everything will be prosperous for you, that it will be shown that it's all your grace and your mercy, Father, that has helped us along the way. Father, we ask you to pray for all those that are sick, oh Father. Pray for all those employees of the city of Cleveland that are down right now, God. God, touch their bodies where they're at, Lord. Just heal them and have them to be able to come back to work and serve the citizens of this community. Father, we love you, and Father, we ask, oh Father, you pray over all that are gathered tonight, that you bless their families as well, dear God. Bless all the families of Cleveland, Father. Bless those families that are in bereavement right now, dear God. Touch their heart, comfort them, oh Father. Father, we ask you to pray over the mayor, pray over all the council members, pray over the city manager, all the city staff, oh Father. Continue to give them the guidance that they can lead this city forward, Father. We ask as we prepare tonight, God, that you lead the way. In Jesus' name we pray. And everyone said, amen.
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 Lord, you gonna lead us in the pledge?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Indivisible.
liberty, one state, under God, one
Indivisible.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight or this afternoon. Angela, I let the record show that Councilman Lee is not present. James, Karen are on Zoom. Marilyn, Dolores are here. Item 1 on the agenda is public comments. Any person with a business for the city speak to council in compliance with the Open Meeting Act. We have anyone?
No, sir, we had nobody submit a request prior to the meeting nor at the meeting at this time.
Consideration of possible action, I don't know, this will be a consent agenda. Item 2 and item 3, for reinvestment, acceptance of certificates of construction completion for contract number 2065-0090 C022 for the water plant. Number 3, generator project, and authorize the city manager to sign. Anyone have any questions about the consent agenda?
No.
Open for a motion to pass this.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that on the consent agenda, if there's no any changes, that we go ahead and approve.
They say that Danny's here.
Second.
I was making, but she's.
You gonna second it?
Yeah.
Okay. Marilyn made the motion. Dolores seconded it. Go ahead.
That's consent agenda.
Consent agenda, yes, sir. That's where we're at. All those in favor, right hands or say yes. Against, the same sign. Okay, item 4 is consideration of possible action on awarding engineering bid from request for qualifications for the train depot project.
Mayor, Council, we're really excited about this project. It's we do own the train depot, but we want to relocate that and make that improvements to that structure and use that as an event space, something that's community related, community space, as well as saving our heritage. We've got qualifications from the following companies: L2 Engineering, LaBeige Architectural Group, Brooks and Sparks, and BRW Architects. And we scored and reviewed those submissions, and we feel like BRW is a clear winner in that, and we recommend that they be awarded the project. They're also doing the pavilion across the street from the location. We've also provided a picture of the Depot Event Center that was provided in their RFQ. So we're really happy with this. We understand that Texas A&M, one of the graduate programs for architectural studies, is actually doing a project with the depot as well as a pavilion project to gather additional ideas. So we're really excited about this. We're proposing to locate this between the senior Center as well as the Civic Center in a wooded area that we have and create a park. The idea is to rent this out. In the RFP, we also threw out the idea of maybe getting a rail car or even a caboose and having that located on site as well.
Bobby, does this include, what all does this include as far as this engineering? This is just to reconstruct it or?
Well, we have the funds to move it as well as put the piers and beams in and have the architectural done. This may not cover all of our improvements, so we're going to look at some for additional community donations. We're hoping we get some sponsors to finish out the project. We're looking at about $200,000 from the community to help us fulfill that. If not, then we'll have to fund it from existing or future fiscal years.
Okay, so there's another contractor that's going to relocate it to this.
That is correct, yes.
Or did you look at the, some of the renderings they provided us on?
Yes, I did.
Really neat looking.
We've got a local contractor that is going to move it to this location that's proposed.
And these are some questions that also come from citizens. This is why I'm asking you. Okay.
Those are good questions.
Bobby, what is the timeline for getting it moved?
We have the funds available, so we can go ahead and move. We met today over the pavilion. We hope to do this in conjunction with the pavilion if we decide to go with BRW. We're hoping that the sooner that we have an architect and have some designs, then we'll move it to this location. We do want to give the architect some time as far as how it lays out. So there will probably be some initial meetings with the architect on how it would lay out on that site before we move forward with actually moving the structure to that
So
location.
what I want to know is what time frame are you looking at, months, years, or?
Oh, we're looking at months, sir.
Just to move it there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just-
So,
I hope they can make, excuse me, I hope they can sort of tie in the pavilion that we have a stencil with the truck, the depot and all, and sort of get it to maybe being looking like it's all planned that way.
Agreed. And in our discussion with the pavilion, we did talk about that if they were awarded the contract.
I haven't visually looked at the area, so is there gonna be a need of like clearing the lot or?
There will be some clearing of the lot, but we want to leave as many trees as we can to have a park atmosphere in that location.
So we have someone to do the clearing or is this included?
We would have to hire somebody to clear the land. But we still want the initial design to be done so we know exactly what to clear and where to clear.
So have you picked out what design yet?
Sorry.
Have you picked out what design you want to do?
We're going to leave that to the architect, so if we award that to BRW, they'll come back with some options. But as you can see, just in the proposal, they've given a clear idea of what staff
What
is
it would look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll say.
That
But we'll have to.
looks real nice.
Have to launch at some point.
Trying to say something.
That's good.
You know, we originally wanted to locate this in downtown, and honestly, this is a better location.
If the citizen,
Yes.
yeah, that'll bring some people to it.
Carolyn, what do you think?
I think that looks real nice. And I think that's a real good location for it. I'm excited about it. I think this is
Yeah.
gonna be a real great addition.
If they were the highest, score, the other questions are, we'll go ahead and, make a motion that we consider awarding this, bid.
I second. We have a motion from Marilyn, a second from Danny. Any other discussion? Anybody have any other things to say, James? You all right with it? Going forward?
There he is, yeah.
All in favor, raise your hand or say yes. James,
Can you
you-
James, you're muted.
you're muted, James.
You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
We can't hear you, James.
You should see something pop up on your screen. There you go.
Okay,
Okay, now we
can you
got.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now we,
Okay.
Yes,
This is the same train depot project we were going to put over on Hanson. But
Right.
Hanson was too expensive, so we're moving it to the Peach Street property.
right. Yes,
That's
sir.
correct.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes. I agree. I think this is the best location for this project. And I agree with everybody else that this would be the best thing to do in unison with the building across the street at Stencil Park. I think they're both going to be beautiful and really look nice for the city
Right.
and the community.
Marilyn made a motion. Danny seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, right hand. Motion passed. Item 5 is consideration and possible action on amendment number 1 to contract with Strand Associates Incorporated for American Rescue Elevated Tank Projects. Tank project.
Strand emailed staff to let them know that, after more discussions with, Terracon, that they need to do a bore of the roadway, which, slightly increased the cost of services. And it's a contract, and any amount, of increase, we need to come back, with the amendment. So, the new cost of the geotechnical goes from 16,800 to 17,400. So it's a slight increase, but we needed to show that cost since it is a contract. And this large of a project, this probably won't be the last amendment to the contract. We'll just keep showing those changes.
Anyone have any questions on item 5?
I do, what was the amendment? What are we amending? What's the change?
The changes in the geotechnical, so there's a bore that has to be done for actually the roadway that will service the land in which the roadway is going to be placed for the water tower. So it was just an additional cost. You're looking at $600 difference. I'm sorry. 16, $600 difference increase in the cost. This is going to be a $3 million project. So
And you say that there possibly going to be other changes?
with a project this big, it's not unusual to see change orders.
Because we don't know.
So keep the cost out of budget can, right?
Yes, ma'am. This also has, I believe it has a 30% contingency as well on the the cost of the project. We're looking at construction costs at about $2.6 million.
Make the motion to be passed. To approve.
I second. Dolores made the motion, Danny seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Against, the same sign. I would like to talk about this one. Item 6 is consideration and possible action on agreement between City of Cleveland and Brooks and Sparks in the amount of $77,000 for the 2021 roadway reclamation project.
Mayor, Council, this is an improvement of the engineering services for the roadway. It's $1 million that we've set aside to rehab, repave our roadways. And the actual lump sum fee of the design is $44,000, and then there's $26,000 for the actual construction phase, project management of that project, and another $4,000 for the geotechnical services. So this is, we have to have an engineer on the project. We've talked to legal. There's been a lot of discussion on moving forward with this project, and I have looked for ways to cut costs to figure out if we need engineering services for this project, and I'm told that we do. And I want to move forward so we can get this paving project done. I know that $77,000 is a lot. It's really a maintenance project, but because it's $1 million, the state requires an engineer. We have to have an engineer seal the project. So I would like to approve this project. I know $77,000 is a lot. I think it would have been more. But we want to move forward with this project and get it done.
Would this be for all your streets that you want to repair?
This would be for all the streets that don't have water and sewer lines in the right of ways. We will come back with the water and sewer lines and rehab those, but this is to get the paving done.
Okay, now those streets that we had on that list a couple months ago, on the streets, okay, are those the same streets that we talked about now?
That is correct.
Well, I make the motion, we approve the engineering services for roadway reclamation project.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion from Danny, a second from Marilyn. Any other discussion? James, Carolyn?
No, I'm good. Sounds good.
I do have one question. So do we have another list of components?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Marilyn.
I was just asking, do we have a new constructed list?
We had the original list that was provided.
The way I understand it, Marilyn, all of those will be except the ones that we have to do the water and sewer, but they'll come when we get the water and sewer done. You know, there were some streets.
And this is another item that the citizens that you're inquiring about. So everybody wants to know, is your street going to be paved? So if we have that information, you can relay that.
Right.
So this involves Jefferson, River Street, Shell Street, Perry, Dunham, South Travis, Mayo, Ross, Bardash, Love, Old Cold Springs Road, Booth, Cook, Ramey, and Lena Alfred. It's possible that we could, if the construction comes in less than expected, we can include Kenny, Lamar, 4th Street, Rogers, Elizabeth, Angel, and Shep.
Lamar Street, we really need to use them.
I agree.
It's
In
bad.
that area, Lina Alfred Street and Moore Street, those are really in bad shape. Period. Those two, real bad shape.
James, did you have something?
James, you're muted again.
It's doing it by itself. I don't know what's happening.
Did
We
you
can
have
hear
a
you.
I'm
question,
good.
Jane?
I voted yes.
All those in favor of the item 6 to pay Brooks and Sparks, raise your right hand. Same sign against. Item 6 passed. Item 7,
Okay.
consider approval on setting the proposed tax rate required for the notice of tax rate hearing publication for year 21 to 22.
That proposal originally was set at 76 cents. We looked at the possibility of actually lowering that by ½ cent. And it is my recommendation that we go forward with actually lowering the tax rate by ½ cent. That's around $22,000 difference, and we're able to afford that. So it is our recommendation that we go with 75.755 as our tax rate.
And what's the advantage of that, Bobby? What's the benefit in that?
The benefit is lowering our taxes helps out the residential property owners that are paying, and all property owners, lowering the taxes. We want to be more in line with other communities. I feel like that our tax rate is high. We're starting to be able to afford to lower our taxes, our property taxes, because of all the new value that is going on the ground. And the idea is that we continue to lower the taxes as we go forward. So as we lower our taxes.
Because we have actually got more value. We're actually raising the taxes, but we don't have to say that. But even at this % will be.
Per
Yeah.
Liberty County appraisal. Right. I think it's a good deal that we lower it, which is only gonna be what, $22,000, but you know, it is $22,000 and it'll save some money.
Yeah.
So, and I think it'll be a good statement to the taxpayers that we are considerate, you know, and we are trying to do the best we can with what we have to work with.
Our ability to lower it is because the actual sales tax is becoming really the driving factor in our revenues. With the new convenience store, Quick Trip coming online, coming out of the pandemic for next year, we're looking at a 5% increase in sales tax. And we're able to lower these taxes. Our debt is actually lower than we expected a year ago as far as our annual payments. We did refinance. Our actual bond that we went out for this fiscal year, the $8 million, came in less than we thought. So we're able to give the taxpayers a break, lowering it by ½ cent.
If there are no other questions or discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we lower the tax rate by ½
Second, Mayor.
Karen, James, how y'all feel about it?
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. That's a good move.
Okay, Danny made the motion, Marilyn seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise their right hand. Those against, the same sign. Item 8, budget workshop number 3 for fiscal year 21-22. Jessica, glad you're back. Get a lot of good stuff.
So good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'll be going over the proposed changes to the budget. You can see that. Okay, so as you can see, the blue are the changes that have been made since last budget workshop. We are proposing, like Bobby mentioned, we're proposing half-a-cent decrease to property tax. The total decrease would be the 22,500. This will leave our revenues at almost nine million. We have changes. We have the CID clerk part-time to full-time mid-year for 25,249. We have the fire department software for 15,870. The generator police facility for 150,000. The Campbell Park rehab for 100,000. Park equipment for 60,000. Contracted mowing services for the airport at 10,600. Street resurfacing, 88,865. We have teletechnology AMR for 2,800. Christmas decorations for 20,000. Additional events for 7,000. We have the event coordinator. We're actually just changing the name to recreation specialist. So that's a wash off of the 62,522. We currently have 4 part-time positions that have not been fulfilled. We're having a hard time. So we are recommending a full-time crew worker position, and this position would be with benefits. And it's a wash off to the 46,810 with total changes in expenditures of 560,724. Revenues are under expenditures by 282,484, ending our fund balance almost at 5 million. I also want to add that we're going to need an additional $60,000 for the apron for the new hangars.
So what?
60,000
For what?
for the new hangars.
Okay.
So planning on, we discussed this before the meeting. It was one other item that Clay had asked for, the FBO. Mr. Stevens has thankfully physically relocating his hangar from North Houston Airport, as you know, closed in Porter, and they're relocating that hangar. That hangar, the steel on that hangar is probably 2 or 3 years old. And that's what's going up. I think I sent you guys a picture of the steel that was going up on that hangar. So that creates 10 bays, I guess you could say, T hangars, they're called. We have an apron on the north side, but we're going to need an apron on the south side. We had a discussion with Mr. Stevens. He would like for the city to participate in the apron. Otherwise, it would be part of the project and we'd still have to pay it back, but it'd be over a number of years. The return on investment is around 7 years. That may increase it to possibly 10 years repayment. So we'll bring that back to you with the actual numbers. We're looking at $56,000 to $60,000 for that apron. However, the list here in blue are the items that were changed from the last time, the last week's. We track all of our changes. Again, we already have a part-time CID clerk, so making that part-time to full-time requires 25,000 additional. We have, we're looking at contracting the mowing services at the airport. Our guys will continue to do the mowing at the cemetery We feel like that we can contract that portion of the mowing out at 10,000. And of course, converting those 4 part-time seasonal employees to 1 full-time position in the general fund makes a lot of sense. We were unable to fill those positions as seasonal. So that doesn't cost us any because it was already allocated. It's just a matter of going from 4 part-time seasonal to a full-time position.
Did we used to, on that
Yeah.
airport, did we used to, they cut it from pay, so, I mean, I remember that, I think, back years ago. We don't.
We do, and we have a contract right now for the hay. However, we want to keep a perimeter around the runway itself and the runway lights. We need somebody that's can get in there and keep the grass on a schedule as far as mowing around the taxiways and runway.
Right, yeah.
Bobby, is this excuse me, is this a new project added to the list,
The hangers, or was something he was already working on?
The hangar project came to council a couple of months ago. We have a payback schedule to pay Mr. Stevens back. He's going to lease one of those slots and actually reimburse him the cost. He took all the risk in relocating it, so it was a good deal for the city. And of course, those hangars will probably be there for 50 or 60 years. So it was a good investment, and council approved that. However, the apron was something, even at the time that we agreed to the contract, we knew that we may need to do the apron. That may be a cost on the city side, or Mr. Stevens may be able to fund that, but we still have to reimburse those costs.
Okay, Bobby, on that, did you get some photographs? I think it give us a visual on exactly what we're paying for.
We'll do that.
With a 10-year paybacks.
Yeah, I just would like to see.
Yeah, well, I agree.
Yes, sir.
my last question. So where would this additional 60,000 be for from? Where would it come from?
It would actually come from fund balance because it's a one-time expense. So currently, we're drawing down 282,000 in fund balance. We have drawn down fund balance in years past and still ended up doing better than projected. So.
But you'll come back with that, Bobby, right?
That's correct.
Cost and all, we'll probably have to vote on that.
Yeah. Just bring us some pictures.
Sure. I would like to everyone to know that our recurring costs are well within a balanced budget. The non-recurring items are actually using a portion of fund balance.
Sounds good, Bobby.
Okay, so here is the funded items, the different color is what I just talked about on the previous slide. Those are the additional funded items. Here is the list of the unfunded items. If you see something here that you would like to get funded, let us know. This is your budget if you decide.
Some of these items we plan to come back next year and keep plugging away as far as what our needs are. We feel like we can go another year without funding these items or funding them from another location. say funding from another location. I see small tractor on here. It may be that we fund that from 701, from actual other funds, if it makes sense.
What's the primary gates?
That would be like in a retail store, it is a gate that picks up, magnetic, magnetized book, that lets you know if there's a theft that's occurring. We do have a gate right now, so, we felt like we could hold off another year.
So you put a building inspector, is that in case we find somebody to do that?
That's correct, and we're pretty happy with the third party, and at this time, we feel it's unnecessary to fund that project. If it makes sense in the future, next year, then we'll come back. It's just a reminder that if we do have a building inspector, we need to replace a vehicle. The vehicle that we had for the building inspector is now a pool car for the airport. That is correct.
Bobby, are they using that vehicle at the airport?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, is it getting used? I haven't heard. I didn't hear your answer.
Do you know, I'm looking at Rob.
I know I've seen it used before because in the past, I mean, since we put it out there, it has been.
Okay. Yeah,
I know
that's good.
Clay has said that he's used it. I don't know what the frequency is. We can take a look at that.
No, that's fine. I'm sure they're using it. I think that's a good thing that we put that out there. But what also about the police building security cameras? That's kind of needed, I think. What do you think about? What do y'all think about that?
On the police building?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
on the building. I think that would be a good thing to have for them.
We can do that. I know that we had talked earlier about that item, and we were trying to see if we could incorporate that as part of actually have a camera and a light as part of the evidence for construction.
Yeah, that would work.
Go ahead, Carol. Go ahead, Carol.
I was just gonna say that would work probably to put it in with that.
The roof repairs, is that for the police station?
That is actually for the library. Now, we do need to do something with the roofs on our buildings.
Yeah.
Just want to see if we can get one more year in.
On the historical museum, it's really in a bad condition right now. In that back room where she has some of the items located, so is that 30,000 gonna be enough for that? It's on the outside, it's on the back portion of it, it's really bad.
That was the amount that was earmarked, is 30,000. However, we were hoping to focus on Campbell Park and then come back to the historical museum possibly next year.
We have another bad flood, or water get back in the museum.
Well, we have to kind of pick which one is most important. If we want to put the handicap stuff, equipment at Campbell Park, and make it spruce it up for the new splash pad. We want to spend some more money on it.
It really comes down to priorities and where you want to see the tax dollars go to work.
The historical museum, it does need some work done on it. I'm not saying that it doesn't need it, but it needs it very bad. But, we got the splash pad and, handicap equipment, and we want to fix that park up. That's something that the kids been needing now for 10 years or so. So, that's just my opinion.
So the money that y'all put to do the splash pad, extra stuff to add on, was not in that cost?
We have the splash pad covered in this fiscal year. However, we want to spend,
My question was just to look at the amount, the 30,000. It wasn't a factor of which is important, which is not important, because they both important. And the splash pad, we're already behind on that. So yes, of course, we'll go ahead with that. I was only concerned about the total here. I mean, I don't know if anyone has gone in to give you an estimate, or is this just a dollar amount that you just came up with the top of your head and say, this is what we need?
this was an estimate that I got from past director for that amount.
So that was the only question, just was this gonna be enough to do the work that needs to be done in there? I just wanted to clarify that.
And Bobby, let me ask you about the taxi and runway light repair. I know I've asked this before, but I guess I don't fully understand it. Do our lights work out there on the runway, or is this something additional that needs to be done to it?
The item that's actually on the unfunded list for 155,000 was submitted. That is way over what we need. That was to replace the taxiway lights completely. I've been told as of this week that they did find the short on the direct burial line. So the idea is to use the existing lights that we have for the taxiway lights and continue that service. The runway lights will be completely replaced. That is over $1 million project. 90% of that is coming from TxDOT, and we're only on the hook for 10% of that project. That was actually reduced further due to the CARE Act funds that were available to us.
Okay, great.
So we feel comfortable at this point, knowing where the break is on the existing lights on the direct burial, that we could salvage those lights.
Okay, great. That's good news. Thank you.
And maybe I missed this, and you might have already talked about this, but since we're talking about the airport, the sign that was supposed to have been generated for the airport, did we decide to hold on that, or what? I don't see it on the list. This is one.
It's actually budgeted in this fiscal year for almost $30,000. That would come over as a carryover. So it is funded. It is funded in this fiscal year. And then council also, do you know what meeting that was approved on? It was the last meeting?
This month, council approved to go out for an RFP, and that should appear bearing any issues in the newspaper this week. It will be opened next month, and it will be a carryover to the following year.
Yes, we approved that last week.
So if we spend language on, we can come back and add to this.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfunded part.
It is your budget. We want to be careful about how much we spend out of our reserves. But yes, if there's something that you feel like that we need, we have to have it this year, then we will take another look at it. I will say that we are funding quite a bit in this fiscal year, a lot more than I thought we would be able to. So I'm pretty happy with the list that we have. I'm happy at the fact that we're going to improve our park in the middle of the city, Central Park, where kids can ride their bikes and get to fairly easy. And I'm really happy about the pavilion projects and the depot project, the fire station. So there's a lot of projects that are happening A lot of them are still on the drawing boards, but they're all going to be happening roughly at the same time.
Yeah, we have a lot going on and that's good. We're making progress on those things, so I'm excited about that too.
I would like to add a wish list, that we focus hopefully next year on our older kids. We got the babies, take care of them now, we really truly need something for our older kids. Keep them, occupied, especially during the summer.
Yes, ma'am. We're hoping with the recreation specialist, the events that having that position, we can offer those services to the older kids. That's the first step that I see in having a recreation program. Of course, we have the recreation committee that's going to look at objectives to take care of all of our kids, especially the older kids, and provide the amenities for that age group.
Bobby, do you already have specifics as to what it is that you're looking for from this recreation specialist?
Similar to other cities, so we're looking at possibly day camps. We did the swim lessons this summer. We had quite a few kids that participated in that. Also looking at the possibility of having projects. I know that we have a senior center in there. A lot of them get their services there, but I'm looking at a broad range of services that we can provide to the community through a recreation specialist.
Okay, how many kids are we talking about? We just said, we want the recreation specialist, which that sounds good, but how many kids are we talking about? Because we don't have as many kids as we used to. I don't know if y'all ever noticed anything.
Yeah,
We're
we're
talking about within the city limits,
correct.
city.
Correct.
So that's what I'm kind of, when I was reading over there, I'm just kind of curious. We don't have many kids at church. I see. That's just something that we might all look into, before we go as far as naming that new position. How many kids we're gonna have and what goals, what do we wanna achieve, in that position. So,
Correct, and that's something that the committee could look at. Organized sports is going to be the major primary driver in getting kids involved and providing those services. A lot of these services are going to be, there's going to be some kind of fee structure that's also attached to that. Council would set those fees, but some of that service will be paid for through fees, similar to other cities. So we want to focus on ball tournaments. I know that we already have the youth league and we have an adult league, but we're also looking at possibly summer camps. There's a wide variety of services that we can provide, just looking at what other cities also provide through the recreation specialists.
Okay, so this is actually a good thing what Mr. Lee and Danny has just said, because now that you're talking about all these different activities, you said the baseball or the ball, and we know CYDA already is doing that, and the camps. Well, there has just been a new camp orchestrated in the Tarleton area. So a lot of kids go in there, and a lot of kids go to camp with their churches. So that right there is probably, and maybe there's a different type of camp, but they do basically the same things. So I don't know if the camp would be a good thing, because then you have to sort of organize, something to go out of town, because we have nothing here for them to even work from or work in. So that's another added expense on top of the expense. And again, as he mentioned, what age group are we talking about? Because we don't have a lot of kids, and most kids, when summertime comes, and they're gone. The only after-school thing is probably based on the smaller kids, because the older kids are indulged with school activities.
So council has asked for us to look at providing additional amenities. Dolores has just asked, taking care of the finding amenities for the older kids. This, to me and staff, we feel like this is the best avenue to go forward. It may be as something as simple as having a scavenger hunt or step aerobics for the seniors, and it'd be fee driven. So it's not, you're going to capture some of your expenses by providing the program.
But what I was saying, I mean, yes, it's good that we can have that. And when we say the older kids, what age group kids are we talking about? We need to identify how many kids that we have. I'm just telling you.
You're talking maybe up to 15 years old, and after that, I don't think we're gonna be.
I mean, we don't have that many, we just don't. We'll go visit the schools.
We children.
And as far as the aerobic for the, for seniors or whoever, have you, allowed the ladies at the civic center to sort of organize these events? What is it that they do? I mean, you're getting the recreation part for the sports part, but this is something that can be done, I don't know, why not with the, civic center staff that's there? I mean, there's only 2 people there, but 4, I think. So
we're
is
taking.
this something that they cannot do instead of adding this additional?
That's what we're actually doing. We're taking the event coordinator. It's been an open position for a year and a half, and converting that to a recreation specialist. So the funds are already allocated for a position. We've been unable to fill that position because we cannot find somebody that wants internally that wants to work weekends.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, since you said that, we really don't necessarily need that position. Those funds that you're talking about can be funds to have put on different activities. I mean,
Either
not,
with us or in conjunction with the chamber or whatever, that come up with different activities.
Correct. This position would actually put those events on. So instead of having an events coordinator that's just focused purely on getting events at the Civic Center, this person will be responsible for the sports part, will be responsible for the Civic Center, actual holding the events, and we really need somebody that has the expertise on putting additional events on. We're building quite a few new homes. We're going to get a lot of young families, and unless I'm wrong, I thought council wanted to see us provide additional events. We even, in the last meeting, we actually included additional funds for events.
Well, I think we need the funds. I don't know if we actually.
I'm just asking, let's identify how many kids do we have. I'm not saying don't, I mean, that's why I'm here is for the kids. I'm just saying, let's identify how many kids we have, and let's go from there and set goals on what we can and can't do, and how much money we want to spend.
And that's what
before you do it, do we have 100 kids or do we have 200 kids? I mean, I'm just looking at what I see. We don't have as many kids in the city like we used to. But for the ones that we do have here, we want to provide something for them. I'm not saying don't provide them, let's just identify.
And that's what this recreation committee will find.
Yeah.
Recreation committee is going to handle the sports part, look at the possibility of how can we expand sports tourism, but they're also going to look at our parks and as well as recreation events. This is something that needs to be grown over time. I think as you find more residents that are locating in our homes and we reach the population, right now we're at 8,100. As we continue to grow our population, we want to make sure that we provide the recreation amenities that other cities provide. Yes, we need to figure out exactly the age groups that we're targeting. This is something that I think the recreation committee can look at. Allocating the position doesn't necessarily mean that we move forward with filling that position right away.
Bobby, I can see too, if we get the pavilion built, and get the depot open, that you probably, at that time, we may need somebody.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I agree.
all of the things we've got, but right now we may not. I'm just.
Then we can pull that item off.
No, I don't think you have to put it off. The reason I'm saying that is after Mr. Levi's is turned off. I mean, when you say put it off, I don't know if you talk about the funds or what. But even at the last meeting, I think I asked about additions for, I think you had an item that was for additional funding for different activities or something.
Didn't you say there was 8,000 in it?
Yes, we put more
Yes.
money in there.
Yeah, so that, whatever additional funds you have, you might can add that to do different things. So if you're gonna do this, Home Depot and have different activities out there, say for instance, you wanna have a skateboard rally or something, just off the top of my head.
Right.
You have your vending trucks and you have the vending trucks, you have the concession stand at the park out here. So that could be additional funds to advertise, to bring professional skateboarders. This is just an example. A professional skateboarder, then you have a concession stand or whatever you need. DJ for additional music or whatever you want to add to this event. You have the funds to do just that. They used to do painting with a twist. You might want to do that for different age groups. The young group, painting with a twist, and the older group, painting with a twist. Just different things. It's just the additional funding when you won't have to be struggling to say, we can't do that because we don't have the funds to do it.
So we added $10,000 to the budget to do events. We talked about this last week, so we added that to the list. We have 7,000, it's item number 11 on the change order sheet. We already had budgeted the remaining amount. The event coordinator in the past had helped with painting with a twist. And so this person, instead of being an event coordinator, would be the recreation specialist. I'm making sure that we broaden the title and the responsibilities to handle all sorts of recreational type activities. We need somebody that can get the skateboarding event done, or painting with the twist done, or with the pavilion coming online. I know that's a year or two out, but you could actually have some kind of fitness gathering in the mornings. And this would all be fee-based. So it's just a matter of getting somebody that has that expertise and has done that in the past in other cities to provide that. Other areas, cities have a pretty healthy recreation department. We're looking for just one person that can handle not only helping with the Civic Center and doing events there, but also would help with providing activities for the youth, the seniors, all ages.
Well, I think we
So,
pretty much agreeing. I mean, I think what I was saying, or what Mervin was saying, we just have to be smart and do the best with the funds that we have. You know, we all want to provide as much as we can, for the youth. So,
We might be able to get somebody that's in school, during school, but I mean, in the summer, to come out, to do some of this.
So the actual allocation, you already have the events coordinator allocated, so it's just a matter of changing
That's
the
fine.
title.
That's fine. We just have to do the best we can with the money that we have. Because we got the depot going, the sponsor part here going. We got the historical museum need work. We just.
I just want to see a lot of this done.
Right.
This
That's
year, I
what I'm
just
saying.
want to see it done. We've talked about all this for 6 months.
Yep.
And sometimes that takes a lot. I know it takes a while. There's certain requirements that we have to meet. The state requires the city to meet. You have to have an engineer, you have to have it drawn. I guess I'm just saying we're moving as fast as government allows us to move, because I want to see these projects done as well. I know everybody's anxious to see these improvements happening.
Let's let those people.
Okay. Moving on to water and sewer fund, we are proposing a rate increase of $1.43 to help fund for a full-time position of $46,810. This will leave us with revenue of $3.5 million. We have the expenditures of the health insurance for the $12,767. We have reduced the capital programs to cover that cost. So that's a wash off. We have also the crew worker one for $46,810. We have also reduced the CIP. So that's also a wash off. And the crew worker for another crew worker for $46,810. That's the increase, the water sewer increase that we're proposing to cover that position. And that would leave us at a balanced budget without touching our unbalanced.
So nobody likes to increase our fees on water and sewer. I realize that we have quite a few people that are on fixed income, so we try to keep that rate as low as possible. I don't want to get in a situation where we don't increase our rates for a long period of time, and then we have to do a large adjustment all at once.
When's the last time we went up?
It's been 3 or 4 years.
2016, I believe.
I think the last time we looked at it, our rates were cheaper than the surrounding areas.
Yes.
So I think we've been, really, we really worked with the citizens for not increasing it.
So increasing it by $1.43, that would allow us additional crew worker
That's per month.
benefits, and yes, $1.43 a month. And then we already have a crew worker that we can fund without the increase. So that would give you 2 crew workers. If you didn't want to do any increase, we would do 1 crew worker. So altogether, we're adding 3 additional crew workers to Public Works. You have 1 that's funded in general fund, and then we're showing 2 in the water and sewer for a total of 3.
Bobby, if we get all of these positions funded, then we could actually do our own, when we talk about redoing the streets, we can go in there and do that street without having to hire outside people, right? Or maybe even have to hire an engineer.
Yes and no. I found years ago, you would find, and at the county level too, that they have a maintenance department. But sometimes it's really hard to compete with third-party contracting with somebody. So sometimes it just makes sense to go outside and figure out and pay for those resources outside of the operations. These crew workers, mainly the two that we have budgeted here, would handle the additional workload. As you know, we have Pinewood that is now operational. We have to make sure that we have sufficient crew to handle the increase in operations.
I think that'd be a good deal to get the 3 workers.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a good deal.
Yes, sir.
And once we get them, then we can decide what we're gonna use them on, but that's, get them on the payroll. Get them on the payroll as soon as possible.
I tell you, I feel like we're pretty bare bones when it comes to our crew, so this will help out tremendously.
This is the funded list. Blue items are the ones that I just talked about. This is the list of the unfunded items. Again, if you have any suggestions, we're open.
We feel like that we can hold off for an additional year on this, and I'm gonna tell you, $110,000 in this year's operational budget is going towards the additional cost of rehabbing the water tower. Fortunately, majority of that's funded through the bonds, but we will have quite a bit of additional cash to handle the automatic meter reads. That project, the first phase we funded this year. It's actually going to take 12 months to get all of Pinewood, Grand Oaks, Tanglewood, and Kirbywood operational. Once the water tower is done, rehab water tower at Glen Park, we'll actually be able to finish that fixed base and have the reads automatically transmitted to City Hall. Next year, we'll go back and we'll do the additional phase 2 of the automatic meter reads. And then there's additional work that needs to be done at the West plant, new screw pump, aerator, and a grit and grease removal system. These are items that we feel like that we can begin to tackle next fiscal year. We also may have additional funds left over from the new water tower with $3 million. We have quite a bit of contingency there, so maybe that we can do additional improvements with the bond funds and the grant funds that we have available. We just want to make sure that we can tackle the project in front of us.
We funded this year, the board plans for us, trying to is that this year or next?
We actually plan to come back and do that. That plan is held in reserve. We only use that as a need basis.
Bobby, would it not be prudent for us to go ahead and do phase 2 of the AMR, since it just seems like we have been working on this project for years, and maybe there is an advantage to not doing it, but
Carolyn, we're actually tackling that right now. They're actually putting the meters in. So phase 1 is, we're currently in phase 1 and
right.
doing placement. We actually started the training. We have to do Tanglewood, Grand Oaks, and Pinewood, get those all online. And I feel like once we basically take a breather between phase 1 and phase 2, make sure that we take care of our elevated storage tanks. So we told TCEQ that we would take care of that this year.
Right.
So once we get those projects out of the way, then we can go back and refocus on phase 2. At some point, I want the entire city on a automatic meter reading.
Right. Yes, that's what I thought we were trying to accomplish, was to get it citywide.
Yes, and we'll keep plugging away at that. We're deep into phase 1 as we speak.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to hotel motel, only change we have here is the increase in hotel occupancy tax for 936, making total revenues at 253,288, to cover our health insurance of 936, makes it a balanced budget of the 253,288. Our ending fund balance at 178,237. And here's a list of the funded items as well.
So the additional advertising is the $10,000 we set aside for the chamber each year. That's for them to do their expo, as well as the bike ride, the walk and ride. Both have been successful. It's a typical partnership that you see with other cities that help with the chamber advertise and help promote the city. So it's a win-win both for the city and the civic center. We always show this as a non-recurring. Councils in the past have asked that in the past we have funded this at 10,000, but they asked for us to bring this back every year so it could be kept on the radar and could be discussed. The additional $20,000 is, we feel like that this is additional funding to go ahead and help with the pavilion or the depot.
That's just obviously to say everything, be it in the recreational or on those items that we've been using on taxes.
Correct.
Do you have any questions? I think I'll be already answered them.
I will say that this budget looked a lot better than I thought it would going into it. It has really benefited us with Grand Oaks and the new construction that we have on the ground. So we are seeing the development and it is improving the city. It's allowed us to lower the tax a bit. We hope to come back next year and continue to lower the tax rate, property tax rate.
Like that, comment plan on that, the grand note.
Originally, they told us that they were going to do the condos and they were going to locate it up front. They have recommended having some changes to the next phase, and they asked to take the condos off. So at this point, it is on, my understanding, it is on hold.
I thought they got back in order to do it, but then they come back again.
Correct.
How many homes do we have now, Randy? Just a ballpark.
Don't remember the exact amount. I know that they threw out a number of 80 lots, and then this new section, they're going to sell an additional 80 lots. I would say there's roughly 80 homes either finished or in construction.
I'll keep looking behind the high school, junior, I think that's where they took the practice field and all that in, and that's so.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy, it's just, I don't know what their plans were.
Don't look like Cleveland.
Carolyn, do you have anything, or James?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
James? Marilyn?
No, sir. Thank you.
Danny? Cool.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No need for item 9 or 10 on the executive session. I'm assuming all I need is a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Laura made the motion, Danny seconded, all those in favor?
Just as a reminder, the next meeting's next Tuesday, the 31st. It does have to start at 6 PM because it is a joint public hearing, the zoning commission and city council, so it was put in the newspaper. So just FYI, it's at 6 next Tuesday.
What's on the agenda? of the meeting?
Joint public hearing, then we have another budget workshop. I've got an easement request. I have 2 other PUDs issues, so there's a couple of items on there as well.